Hello and welcome to Rookie Ninjas, where we explore day trading futures on the NinjaTrader platform, identifying supply and demand and reading price action. Cause no, grandma, it's not gambling, not when we have data analytics. Welcome to our Strategy Builder series. So essentially for today, we're going to be looking at sharp moments in the market. Like always, we're not going to try to catch these moments, but what we are going to try to do, represented by the green bar, is we're going to try to catch the reversal. So if price is below that yellow moving average, then we want to catch a moment where we can essentially catch a bullish trade going back up. Now if price spikes above the yellow line, just the opposite, we're going to be looking for a moment where we can catch a bearish move. So this moving average here that you see is actually going to be playing quite the large role. Alrighty, let's take a look. In fact, let's just call this one moving averages. So I haven't decided yet, but we are going to be using a few different moving averages for this strategy. Alright, now let's see if we can get a couple inputs here. For our first, let's call our larger moving average just our base. It's going to be the deciding factor pretty much on whether we're going to be looking at a long trade or short. So we'll put here 100 just because we know that we'll be able to use our analyzer to essentially check and see what the best value will be. We'll definitely need at least two more. So we'll have moving average 1 and moving average 2. And finally, our indicator that we're going to be looking for a trade, our volume input, which based off this chart, 4,000 looks like a good marker. And of course, just for the sake of having it ready, we'll put our profit target set to 50, 50 ticks. Our stop loss, of course, set to less. On second thought, let's give ourselves a little distance. So put this at 80. Although with the analyzer, who knows? It's really going to just be a matter of what's going to be coming back, hitting the most profitable. Alright, so let's have a signal here. That'll be represented by the blue line, so essentially catching that burst with our volume. And we'll get started. So first things first, let's take our volume indicator and go ahead and set the standard for what's going to make our signal true. So let's put the volume inputs. On second thought, let's take this signal and actually make a second one. So we'll have a signal for signal long, essentially setting up that long trade, and then of course one for our short setup. So aside from having our volume indicator hit at 4,000, we're also going to take that first moving average, which is set to 1. Really it's just following price around. But we want it to be less than our base, which is going to be our large moving average, set to 100-day moving average. The larger the value for a moving average, the more you can kind of base it off of. Personally, I like using a larger moving average day to indicate whether we are moving in an upward direction or we're moving in a downward direction. Make it as simple as possible on yourself, and essentially if you're below it, the market's moving bearish, and if you're above it, the market's moving bullish. Remember, not only are we trying to build these strategies, but we're also trying to just get better at reading price action. Alright, so in this instance, with EMA, our moving average 1 below base, we are looking for a long signal. Make it clear, the market just took a dump and crashed down with a burst in our volume, and essentially we want to catch the market correcting itself, consolidating, moving towards a point of resistance. Alright. Now, if our signal long is true, and we go to our, hold on, let's just double check real quick, make sure we have the right values here. Alright, yes. So our EMA2 is set to a value of 2. So first, we'll go to our EMA1, so our moving average 1. With a value of 1, it will fall faster than an EMA with a value of 2. So all we're saying is that this titanic fall that took place has essentially come to an end, and now price is beginning to reverse. Sometimes simpler is better. Alright, we're going to go ahead and enter our long position here, like so. Alright, with any luck, hopefully these will be our points that initiate the trade. Alright, nice and simple, but how about we complicate it just a bit and have our moving average 2 be greater than our moving average 1. Just as we said before, with this particular setup for a long, your moving average with the value of 1 is going to drop faster than your moving average with the value of 2. So because we're basing this off of price being below that base value of 100 or whatever we decide to leave it on, this is going to secure that the move that's taking place is the move that you want. That price is falling, not rising below the base. So just a little security caution here. Alright, and now that I'm recording this, I see that I may have made a mistake. The moving average 1 being less than the base and volume being greater than the volume input should be set to 2 bars back, not 1 bar back, and then what we just added should be set to 1 and not 0. Otherwise, it doesn't really do much. Alright, moving on, we're going to duplicate our set 3 to see if we can go ahead and get our setup for our short trade. Fairly straightforward, we're just going to be essentially reversing the conditions, and that should be it. Alrighty, everything seems to be in place. Let's go ahead and move forward and get our stops and our profit target placed. Good. Stop loss, switch this to ticks. And I believe that we just about have a strategy that is complete. Now, we do need to add one more set, not to complicate things, but our rules do need to be reset at some point. Otherwise, they'll become true and just stay true. So, let's try to say that if unrealized P&L is greater than 0 or less than 0 or equal to 0, that it will go ahead and switch these to false. Perfect. Alright, now let's clear up these indicators because hopefully the way we laid out our strategy, they will return once we start our strategy. Now, just like it's happened before, I could edit this part out, but I'm not going to. Immediately, when we implement our strategy, we are getting nothing. But this is all part of building strategies. Sometimes you'll finish something and not have the result you want, and you got to go back and you have to tweak a couple of things. So what I decided to do is on set 3 and set 4, once those sets are put into place, immediately the signals will be made false. And so we're going to just go ahead and eliminate set 5 altogether. And after that, voila, we have our entries hitting at the marks that we want. Perfect. Alright then, so now that we have our visual confirmed on our chart, time for something that I enjoy doing. We'll take out our strategy analyzer and and see if we can find this strategy and go ahead and see how it's performing in the market. Now, this is one of two steps. So we're going to run it in our analyzer, see how it's performing. We're going to try to optimize it, and then of course we're going to be looking to upload some of the historical data and see how it's actually performing in real time. So we want to be real sure that what we're seeing is actually occurring the way it's supposed to. Not gonna lie, not great results to start with, but that's the beautiful part about the analyzer. We have this feature to optimize our strategies. So let's just see maybe what optimal profit targets and stop losses might look like. Now we still have 75 trades, but as you can see, our percent profitable did go up to 32%, and overall we're $1,430 in the green with that optimization. So let's keep our profit target and stop loss that we just optimized, and let's do the same and implement it for our volume inputs and our base. Now remember, the base is going to be the large moving average, which is going to decide whether we're going to be going long or short, and obviously our volume input is going to be to the degree of which we're going to be actually considering taking an entry. So hopefully we'll see the number of trades go down. It did. So we went from 75 to 14, and we jumped from 32% profitability up to 50% profitability for a beautiful total net profit of $1,340. Honestly, having at that point is not too bad at all. I'd call that a fairly good profit, or a fairly good strategy that's been put together. Especially we have a higher average winning trade. We're sitting at 50%. This would be a nice one to maybe watch with alerts, or to really backtest and see how good you can run it on your system. Not just for the sake of having the analyzer still open. Let's see maybe if we can actually take it a step further. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but maybe we can move and optimize our moving averages as well. Alright, so we'll go ahead and keep the results from our volume input and from our base, and let's just take our moving average 1 through 10, and our moving average 2 through 20. We're already sitting at 50% profitability, but let's just see if maybe we can increase that a little bit. It's gotta stay close, I'd imagine. Very nice. Okay, so it looks like our moving average set to 3 instead of 2 is performing slightly better. We're looking at a 57.14% profitability. Not a huge difference, but any little bit helps. Honestly, super pleased with the strategy. If anybody wants to take this one to the next level and maybe start charting it and following the results, and would like to respond with some of your results, we'd love to feature you on the channel. This right now is looking much better. Low frequency but high profitability is always how we like to. It's always what we like to aim for. And of course, like we always say, you take something like this and you're patient enough with it, and over the course of a year or two, you'll start adding contracts as you build profit. And who knows?Maybe you're trading 10 contracts in 2 years, and instead of your month or 2 months looking like 1,800, you'll be closer to 18,000. Now, wouldn't that be nice? So let's actually move forward and see if we can get some results on our playback and upload one of these trades, see how it's performing in real time. Alright then, so looking at the results, we have our latest entry that was profitable hit on the 31st of January at 4:05 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect from my main connection, and we're going to download some historical data. Perfect. Now before I made a mistake, I actually didn't have NASDAQ saved with the right connection, so I'm going to be using a micro version of it. But all it is essentially 1/10 the size of the NASDAQ. Everything else should be the same, or at least close enough for this strategy to hopefully hit. Alright, so here is our day, the 31st. Let's go ahead and get our right inputs in there. Perfect. Make sure everything lines up. Gotta make sure to put the right time as well. Make sure it's PM, not AM. Alright, make sure that our strategy is enabled, and here we go. Let's see if this one actually hits. Take away some of these extra indicators. That large blue line is going to be our start point. That's hopefully what initiated our bull to make this strategy. There we go. Perfect. Right on cue at 4:05 p.m. Now let's see about how long it takes to actually hit. I went ahead and fast forwarded this part for you guys. So I'm sure you're not really interested in seeing this part, but I think it was about 10 minutes. At the very least, it looks like we do have a strategy that is working. And yeah, at this point, the sky's the limit. If you're willing to use something like this, hopefully it can be of some help. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode in our Strategy Builder series, Moving Averages. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. And until next time, happy trading.